Gopi Janavalabha Givarari Gopi Janavalabha Givarari Yashodanandana Bhajanaranjana Yashodanandana Bhajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanandi Haribo, Jaya Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Padavrajakar Charja, Ashatar Sata Sri Shriman. ISKCON BBT Founder Charles Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Prabhupada Om Vishnupad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavarna Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Gira Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Prajabhumi Nam Ki Jai. Shri Nabharit Mayapur Nam Ki Jai. Shri Nilachal Jagannath Puri Nam Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Most beautiful Lordship Shri Shrikmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai. Shri Shrikmini Dwarkanath Ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Going back to home, back to Godhead Ki Jai. ISKCON Los Angeles Atar Ki Jai. Brihad Miranga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. International Food for Life Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, glory to Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Hatirayat Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our bare means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, who is the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavata uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regularly attending classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, whose worship with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're continuing our reading from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 6. The double verse that's on the board doesn't have a purport. I think I'll just recite that myself. Then we'll go on to the next verse, which has a short purport. We'll recite that responsibly. And then we'll go on to the verse after that, which has a little more substantial purport. So let me just read this double verse. Tankesha bhanda vyatishakta malikam brihanitam bastana kritra madhyamam suvasa sankalpita karna bhushana tushola satkuntala manditananam valgo smita panga visarga vikshitaya manoharanting vanitang vrajokasam amang satam bhojakanena rupinim Gopyakshiyang drashtum ivagatang patim. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Go up. Yeah. Her hips were full. I'm speaking about whom? Putana. But not in her real form, in her assumed beautiful form. So the description given is, her hips were full, her breasts were large and firm, seeming to overburden her slim waist, and she was dressed very nicely. Her hair, adorned with a garland of malika flowers, was scattered about her beautiful face. Her earrings were brilliant, and as she smiled very attractively, glancing upon everyone, her beauty drew the attention of all the inhabitants of Braja, especially the men. Surprise, surprise. When the gopis saw her, they thought that the beautiful goddess of fortune, holding a lotus flower in her hand, had come to see her husband, Krishna. So, next verse we'll do responsively. Bala, Grahas, Tatra, Vichinvati, Shishun, Yadrishaya, Nandagrihe, Asad, Antakam, Balam, Patichana, Nijoru, Tejasam, Tadarsha, Talpe, Ugnim, Ivahitam, Basi, Bala Grahastatra Vichinvati Shishun, Yadrichaya Nanda Grihe Sadantakam Balang Patichana Nijoru Tejasam Dadarshatal Pegnim Ivahitang Basi Bala Grahastatra Vichinvati Shishun Yasdrishaya Nanda Grihe Sadantakam Balang Pratichanna Nijoru Tejasam Dadarshatal pignim ivahitang basi. Bala grahastatra vichinvati shishun. Yadrishaya yananda grihe sarantakam. Balang pratichanna nijoru tejasam. Dadarshatal pignim ivahitang basi. Please chant. Balang patichchanna nijoru tejasam. Dadarshatal pignim ivahitang basi. Malagrastatra vichinvati shishun. Yadrishaya nandagrihe sarantakam. Balang patichchanna nijoru tejasam. Dadarshatal pignim ivahitang basi. Balagrahastatra vichinvati shishan. Balagrahastatra vichinvati shishan. Yadrishaya nandagrihe sarantakam. Balang pratichanna nijoru tejasam. Dadarshatal pignim ivahitang basi. Vaishnavis. Balagrahastatra vichinvati shishun. Yadrishaya nandagrihe sarantakam. Balang pratichanna nijoru tejasam. Dadarshatal pignim ivahitang basi. Balagrahastatra vichinvati shishun. Yadrishaya nandagrihe sarantakam. Balang pratichanna nijoru tejasam. Balagrahastatra vichinvati shishun. Balang pratichanna nijoru tejasam. Dadarshatal pignim ivahitang. So, synonyms. Balagraha. The witch whose business was to kill small babies. Tatra. Standing there. Vichinvati. Thinking of, searching for. Shishun. Children. Yadrishaya. Independently. Nanda Grihe, in the house of Nanda Maharaja. Asat Antakam, who could kill all demons. Balam, the child. Praticchana, covered. Nija Uru Tejasam, whose unlimited power, Dadarsha, she saw. Talpe, lying on the bed. Agnim, fire. Eva, just like. Ahitam, covered. Bhasi, within ashes. Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse. While searching for small children, Putana, whose business was to kill them, entered the house of Nanda Maharaja unobstructed, having been sent by the superior potency of the Lord. Without asking anyone's permission, she entered Nanda Maharaja's room, where she saw the child sleeping in bed, his unlimited power covered like a powerful fire covered by ashes. She could understand that this child was not ordinary, but was meant to kill all demons. Please repeat. While searching for small children, Putana, whose business was to kill them, entered the house of Nanda Maharaj unobstructed, having been sent by the superior potency of the Lord. Without asking anyone's permission, she entered Nanda Maharaj's room, where she saw the child sleeping in bed, his unlimited power covered like a powerful fire, covered by ashes. She could understand that this child was not ordinary, but was meant to kill all demons. Srila Prabhupada's very short purport. Demons are always busy creating disturbances and killing, but the child lying on the bed in the house of Nanda Maharaj was meant to kill many demons. So I'm going to read the next verse, but just something to say on this verse, that Prabhupada on several occasions mentioned that people are so foolish they make unnecessary distinctions between the different manifestations of Krishna, not knowing Achintya Beta Beta Beta, the Tattva, they're all one and the same. So some people like Bal Krishna, they like Krishna's childhood pastimes, Ladu Gopal, because he's not dancing with other men's wives and he's not killing anybody. But here it says this child is meant for killing. It's the same Krishna. He may be Ladu Gopal, but he's meant for killing. It's mentioned here. It's not that there's some different Krishna, that Krishna in Vrindavan doesn't. This is Vrindavan Krishna. He's in Vrindavan, appearing in his Bal pastimes, but he's meant for killing. So we're going to read the next verse and then we'll say a few more words. Vibhudyatang balakamarikagraham characharatma sanimilikeshana anantangaro payadang kamantakam yatoragang suptama buddhi rajadhi. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Lord Sri Krishna, the all-pervading supersoul lying on the bed, understood that Putana, a witch who was expert in killing small children, had come to kill him. Therefore, as if afraid of her, Krishna closed his eyes. Thus, Putana took upon her lap him who was to be her own annihilation, just as an unintelligent person places a sleeping snake on his lap, thinking the snake to be a rope. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In this verse, there are two perplexities. When Krishna saw that Putana had come to kill him, he thought that since this woman was present with motherly affection, although artificial, he had to offer her a benediction. Therefore, he looked at her with a little perplexity and then closed his eyes again. Putana Rakshasi also was perplexed. She was not intelligent enough to understand that she was taking a sleeping snake on her lap. She thought the snake to be an ordinary rope. The two words antakam and anantam are contradictory. Because of not being intelligent, Putana thought that she could kill her antakam, the source of her annihilation, but because he is ananta, unlimited, no one can kill him. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshtarne Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, the Bhagavatam is full of perplexities, It's full of information that is either categorically rejected or placed in a false category by modern so-called scholars. For instance, a few verses back we heard Surah's class that Kechari, this Putana, she could fly in the ether. K means ether. We know Krishna says that I am that sound in ether. Sound travels in ether. So Kechari, she was a personality who could fly in the sky, fly through the sky. And she was also able to change her form. This is called in modern parlance shape shifting, a shape shifter. So if you look that up in a dictionary, they'll tell you shape shifting is something that you find in mythology or science fiction, and it is an ability that these mythological personalities have that's either given to them by a divinity or they just have it inherently, or by some magic they get this power to do this kind of thing. So again, they would look at this as being something mythological. Somebody made this up. This doesn't really happen. People can't transform themselves from an ugly 12-mile long, witch body into a beautiful woman that everybody's attracted to. It's funny, it's stated in that verse, especially the men. So although we know the men in Gokula, they're all pure devotees, but still, it's natural. A beautiful woman comes into a room, the men are going to look at her. That's just natural. You can't flip out about that. Oh, you're some lusty guy. No, it's natural. A woman comes in the room, the men are going to look at her. So, but these same personalities who would categorically dismiss this as being some mythological story, they believe that life comes from matter, which is the greatest myth. It's never been proven, cannot be proven, but that their whole modern science rests on that. Although some of them will say, no, we don't even deal with origins. We only deal with the fact that evolution is a fact. They accept evolution as a fact, that bodies transform into other bodies. But we don't even look at origins, so we wouldn't even argue with you about that. But that's nonsense. You have to have an origin. If you trace everything back, it has to have an origin. And what is the nature of that origin? And if you press them, they will agree or admit that they think that matter was the beginning. Many times, again, the scientifically trained persons, they stump the religionists by saying, well, where did God come from? So where did your matter come from? You have to have a beginning somewhere. It's just a question of what is the nature of that origin. So the nature of their origin is matter, dull, insentient matter. And some or other, over time, by some process, it became sentient beings. That's mythology. You're accepting something mythological, and you believe it, and you teach it. You force it down people's throats. Modern education, in the area of science or any other area practically, means you ingest what they give you, and you regurgitate it on the test. And if you regurgitate it nicely, enough past a certain percentage, then you get a passing grade, and you get a degree, and you go out in the world looking for a job. So you ingest what they give you, and then you regurgitate it, and they stamp you as being passed. You passed. No thinking involved. Don't think. Don't ask us about the nature of origin, and don't ask those questions. Just regurgitate what we tell you about Darwinian evolution or whatever the subject matter is. So this is not Vedic understanding. The Acharyas, great Acharyas, including the 6 Goswamis who we revere so much, they clearly state that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest evidence. There are different ways of getting at the truth. We know, we've gone through them, the different pramanas, the different ways of gaining knowledge and getting at the truth. So of all of them, the ones that the Goswamis revere the most or put on the topmost platform is this Srimad Bhagavatam. This Bhagavad Pramana is the highest source of truth. At least we accept that. Others, they can accept or not accept, that's up to them. But we should understand that this Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest source of truth for us. So in our minds, there shouldn't be any doubt. Whatever is stated in the Bhagavatam is factual. If you don't understand it, you may have to approach someone who understands better. But there's no question of doubting it, of not accepting it ultimately. If you don't accept the statements of the Srimad Bhagavatam, then you're not a Rupanuga, you're not a Prabhupada Nuga, you're not a devotee of Krishna. All devotees of Krishna have to accept the statements of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So when Bhagavatam says that this woman, who is actually a Rakshasi, a witch, a Kechari, she can fly in the sky, we accept that. Birds fly in the sky. Why not humans? What is it to prevent humans from flying? We don't accept it because we don't know of any humans that can fly, so we don't accept that humans can fly. But there are different means of flying. Flying doesn't mean that you necessarily have to have wings. You know, they believe in millions of years ago there were dinosaurs that could fly, pterodactyls. And they will trot out so many bones to show you, but there was some wing-like structure. So they think flight automatically means wings. But that's not necessarily true. There's a modern phenomenon that scientists study, that you'll find spiders on every continent, some of them who don't belong there. And why is that? Because they're so light, sometimes they get carried away by the breeze. And they land hundreds or thousands of miles away. A little spider can be trying to go from one leaf to another. They get caught in a breeze, and they can land hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. And that's why practically everywhere you go, you find spiders. How did they get there? They don't have wings. So one way of flying is by being lighter than air. If you're so light that the air can carry you, then you can fly. You can go. So this is called Lagima Siddhi. This is one of the 8 mystic perfections that the yogis can achieve. Anima, become smaller than the smallest. Mahima, become greater than the greatest. Lagima, to become so light that you can walk on water or fly through the air. Prabhupada said he personally witnessed in Calcutta. Some yogi came who had this Lagima Siddhi and he could walk on water. And people were enamored. Oh, great soul. No, it's just something that you can learn. Krishna says in the 11th canto, I think it's in the conversation with Uddhava. He explains how some personalities, through austerity and practice, they learn how to control the sub-material elements. In other words, there are ways of controlling matter that you can seem to do wonderful things. Just like this Prapti Siddhi, which means you can reach and get something from far away. Like Prabhupada gave the example that sitting in India, somebody can reach Afghanistan and get very nice pomegranate. So does that mean that they extend their arm for hundreds and thousands of miles? No. They know a perfection, mystic perfection, by which they can fold space. So sitting right here, I can reach into Afghanistan right here and take what I want. You see? It's not that they blindly sit down and their arms become long by 1,000 miles and somewhere or other they know what they're feeling and no. They have understood how to control these sub-material elements so that they can literally fold space. So sitting in India, they can make Afghanistan right here and take what they want. So these things are stated in the Shastra. We have to accept them. We may not understand, we may not be able to go to a scientific conference and explain technically how it happens, but we accept it. It's in the Shastra. They accept what their predecessor scientists have said, but not always, because they're always updating. I've said this many times, but when Sariputta said it, I laughed like anything, because it's a fact. Arcita Prabhu said one time that they say that we used to think, but now we know, because we've studied further. You see? We used to think. But no, that's not how it goes. They used to know, and now they think. You see? Because when they presented it to you, it's like they knew it. It was a fact. They presented so many, they don't present it like it's, something optional. No, this is the fact. And you have to ingest it and regurgitate it, otherwise you don't pass. You don't go to college to think, you go to ingest and regurgitate. So they used to know that such and such was a fact, but now, lo and behold, now we think that it's not really like that. You see? So they're constantly changing their presentation anyway. So we should not be bewildered. And we are to a certain degree because we were raised in that society. We come out of that culture, so-called scientific culture. And therefore we may pause a little bit when we read some of the stories of the Bhagavatam. These are not stories, these are histories. Things that have actually happened. And they're being presented to us not by some ordinary guy. Like I said, I saw a documentary once made by the BBC where they went to India and Afghanistan and all that whole region, trying to understand who these sages were and how they came up with these stories that they wrote. And so their conclusion was that there was this beverage, soma ras, which is slightly intoxicating. And they would drink that, and then they would sit around and they would dream up these stories and then write them down and present them as the Vedas. No. Srila Vyasadeva was not stoned when he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. You see, he was not stoned. And this Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of Krishna, of God. Krishna sadama pagate dhamakyanan bisaha kalo nashirishang eka puranarka denodita. That this Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun. And it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna for his own abode, accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc. In other words, all good qualities. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in this Kali Yuga shall get light from this Purana. That's what it's meant for. It's meant for enlightening us. And therefore we should read it, and read it again, and read it again. Vijay and I were just talking yesterday, maybe, or the day before, up in ISB territory. They have a kids' distribution party. Young children go out door to door distributing Bhagavatam sets and whatnot. So they were doing that, and one of the intended buyers said to one of the kids, kind of jokingly, "Have you read it?" And the kid said, "Yes, 3 times." Already as a child, read the Bhagavatam 3 times. So that's what it's meant for. It's meant for us to read. Prabhupada said, I didn't write these books just for you to sell them. I wrote them for you to read them. And we have to read them in the right mood, understanding that it's not mythological. Again, we're contaminated by this deeply, very deeply. So sometimes some of the statements that are made in the scriptures or made directly by the pure devotee, like when Prabhupada said he didn't go to the moon, these statements can rock our boat to the foundation. Some people left. They just couldn't take it that Prabhupada was saying these things because they saw on television they landed on the moon. How could Prabhupada say they didn't go? You see? So we have to understand that we're dealing with the absolute truth presented in a form that has been pre-digested by great souls. Srila Prabhupada, his guru, all the 6 Goswamis, Lord Chaitanya, they all accepted the Srimad Bhagavatam as being spotless, pure Purana, from which you get all light, all knowledge. And so we have to approach it in that mood. If I don't understand something that's there, then I need to get someone who understands to explain it to me. Not that I brush it aside or gloss over it or think it's maybe not right or in some way. No. Everything that's stated in the Bhagavatam is factual. So yes, as Prabhupada himself said in his purport, still to this day there are witches who can travel. They know the art or science, whichever you want to call it, of traveling through the sky on a stick. And again, it's not something so wonderful. So little bird can fly, big birds can fly, little spider can be carried by the wind from one place to another. Why can't humans? Because we don't know how to do it. We think it's mythological. Prabhupada said mystical means you don't know how it's done. It's just like when you go to see a magic show. The magician certainly knows what he's doing, and other magicians in the audience, they understand what's going on, but the bulk of people go, "Ooh, did you see? Ooh, how did he do that? How did he saw that lady in half? How did he? Wow." So for you, it's magic, because you don't know how it's done. So similarly, all the phenomenon that's going on in the universe, somebody knows how it's done. Lord Brahma knows, Krishna knows, so many people know. But for us, we can't understand it, we don't understand it, therefore we think it's mystical or mythological, we dismiss it. No, but we cannot approach the Srimad Bhagavatam in that mood. We have to approach it in a mood that it is completely factual, everything that's stated there. And look at the caliber of personalities who have accepted it. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. They've done the work for us. We don't need to research. It's become kind of a fashion recently because now we have in English translation of the commentaries of some of the predecessor acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So it's become a fashion. You sit down and you say, well, Vishwanath Chakravarti said. Srila Prabhupada already did all that research and put it in its purports. We don't have to keep going back to that. It will be like saying, just like we have from the Shadgoswamashtakam, Nana Shasha Vicharana Kinipano Sadharma Sangstapako Loko Namita Karino Chibubune Manyo Shanya Karo Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Matalika Vande Rupa Sanatana, Yago, Ragu Yago, Sri Jiva Gopalako. That the 6 Goswamis, they're revered. Why? Because they scrutinizingly studied all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. So we don't have to go back and do that. We don't have to go back and study all the revealed scriptures to come up with the, we don't have to do that. The Goswamis already did that, and they distilled it into their books. And Prabhupada further distilled it into his books. So some people feel that they have to keep jumping back to this Goswami. If you're doing some research to write a BTG article or something, fine. But it's not necessary. Prabhupada already did all that distillation. Try to understand Prabhupada's purports. That's all you need to do. Am I wrong? We don't have to. We don't have to keep saying, well, this Acharya said this and this Acharya said that. It's already in Prabhupada's purports. He sat down, literally, up there for the most part, and wherever he traveled, he had with him those commentaries in Sanskrit. And Prabhupada read Sanskrit, so he understood, and he assimilated all of those commentaries into his purports. We just need to try to understand Srila Prabhupada's purports. Don't be so enamored about trying to find this commentary and that commentary. It's already been done. Again, it's like going back and trying to study the Upanishads and the original Vedas to try to come up with what the Goswamis did. They already did that. That was their contribution to society. They scrutinizingly studied all of those revealed scriptures and wrote their books. So we don't have to go back and study the Rig Veda, the Samaveda, the Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda. We don't have to do that. It's already been done by the predecessor acharyas in our line. We don't have to go back and study all 108 Upanishads. It's already been done by them. And they've distilled all that knowledge into their books. Now, Srila Prabhupada took their books, principally Rupa Goswami's books, but he looked at all of them, the Sandarbhas, everything. Prabhupada did all that work, distilled it into his books, which are just right for the not so bright denizens of Kali Yuga. Not so bright. Prabhupada has already done that. He knew what he was dealing with, what the nature of people in this age. He was empowered. More than being empowered, he was dictated to by Krishna. He said, I didn't write these books. Krishna dictated them to me, and I just wrote them down. Or spoke them, actually. We know, Prabhupada sat with the books, and then he spoke into the dictaphone, and then it was transcribed. So all of that work has been done for us. We simply have to assimilate it, try to understand it. If there's something we don't understand, discuss, approach somebody who you think knows more than you and discuss it with them. Don't brush it aside, because doubts will eat away at you. Doubts will eat away at our determination. But this knowledge ultimately is what will make us happy. Krishna says that there's nothing more sublime and pure in this world than transcendental knowledge. 4th chapter, text 38. Nothing more sublime and pure in this world than transcendental knowledge. It is the mature fruit of all mysticism. And if we continue to practice devotional service as prescribed by the predecessor acharyas, including Srila Prabhupada, then one day we will enjoy this knowledge within ourselves in due course of time, Krishna says. So it's very important to try to assimilate the knowledge. That's where our happiness comes from. To know is to be happy. And a Brahmana, and we're practicing Brahminical culture, Brahmana means one who always wants to know. Brahmana wants to know what is to be done and what should not be done. How did this thing happen? Why did that? This is Brahminical culture, always wanting to know. The passionate person just wants to know enough so they can go make money. And they don't like to give credit either. Even though anything they know that's worth anything, they learn from somebody, they don't like to give credit. They just want to know enough so they can open an internet site or something and make money. This is the passionate person. And the ignorant person doesn't care. They just want to get money somehow or other so they can go buy their drugs and, chill out. That's the mode of ignorance. But we're supposed to be in the mode of goodness and ultimately transcendental goodness, which means we always want to know to the best of our ability. We can't know everything. Krishna knows everything. Krishna knew why Putana came. The gopis and gopas, they just saw this beautiful woman. And that was enough for them. They thought, maybe the goddess of fortune has come. But Krishna knew her mission, her purpose. So he closed his eyes, and we know the story will unfold. So we'll stop here. If there are any questions, comments. Yes. Satchitanoi Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita and also other parts of the literatures that one should not explain these teachings to someone who's not a devotee, because it will be like, if he's not a devotee, he's not going to understand. So your presentation was, I liked, but I was thinking that here we are, we have to convey the message, we have to present it. And some of us were not, scientifically inclined, but we do have people who have that ability, that skill, like Sadaputta or Drutakarma. So some statements still, even if they appear like mythological or difficult, how far can you go for ordinary persons to present it in such a way? You still have to learn it and know how to.
Satchitananda, you know better than I do. Your job is just to convince them to take the book and let Srila Prabhupada convince them when they read it. And Manusha Nam Sahasreshu Kashaja. Out of many, many thousands of people, only one or two will be interested. Just like last Saturday we were at Hollywood and Haridam. You were there. And so many thousands of people, and their only business is to look at the so-called stars on the sidewalk. And out of those thousands, one person comes forward, like I was chanting, and one male, Hispanic, probably mid to late 30s, he came up with a big smile on his face. I said, I immediately understood this guy's interested, so I engaged him in conversation. Hey, are you from here or from out of town? No, I grew up here. I'm Angelino, born and bred. And, I'm very, very happy. He bought a Beyond Birth and Death. And he said, I said, have you seen? Oh, yeah, I've seen you guys. I grew up with you guys. I saw you guys everywhere. But he never really had any contact before. So now he has Beyond Birth and Death. Hopefully he'll read it. I told him the address is in the book. You can come to our center, check it out. So we don't have to, certainly we shouldn't get in over our head. If somebody's asking very difficult questions that you can't answer on the spot, then maybe find another devotee who can. But ultimately, the reason why they can't understand, and Prabhupada said that here in New York in the 70s, because somebody was asking a question, he said the reason they can't understand is because they're sinful. So you have to make them fortunate by giving them this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, by giving them Krishna Prasadam. Gradually they become fortunate and clear enough to start understanding. Otherwise, we're not surprised that they don't understand. And you're not going to convince them with a 3-minute lecture, as Prabhupada said. Get them to take the book. Let them take it home. Maybe they'll take it off the shelf and read it, and then read it again and read it again. And even if they don't read it, maybe their children will read it. Or their auntie or somebody will read it and take benefit from that book. So our main job is to get them to take the book. Whether it's an English book or an Arabic book or a Japanese book. Just like last night, and we were in Prominent, and so many Arabic people, we would say Muslims, but they're from different countries in the Middle East. They're very, very friendly. They're very, very curious. And that's one of the benefits of living in America. America is a free enough society that people from anywhere around the world can come here and be curious about any other culture. In their own culture, maybe it's not so easy. When you're at home in, Jeddah or some place in Saudi Arabia, it's not so easy to be curious about some other culture. When I was traveling in Europe recently, I met a young lady. She's from Belarus, but she married an Arab guy and she was living in Egypt. So she had to be, and she actually got a book in Egypt. That's where she came in contact with Krishna consciousness. So now she has this dilemma. She's married to a Muslim, an Arab guy, and she's getting interested in Krishna consciousness. What to do? So, yeah, she got a book in Egypt somehow. So she very surreptitiously, was feeling out amongst her friends, and she met some other ladies in similar situation, wives of Arabs, but they also, some of them became interested in Krishna consciousness. So they started getting together, chanting, reading Bhagavad Gita, making prasadam, and then when she would go home, she would try to find time to hide away, and the husband started getting suspicious. What are you doing? So she went back to her country, and they have one son, and she's in a dilemma what to do, because he wants her to come back to Egypt, and she met him in her country. He went there on a mission to do a job or something. That's how she met. So she met him in Belarus, married him, went to Egypt. Now she's torn. Because in Egypt, she can't be open about this, but she's very much a devotee now already. She's chanting 16 rounds, And she wants to remain a devotee, but he wants her to come back to. So she was asking me, privately, what to do. Should I go back to Egypt and be with my husband? It seems like that's the right thing to do. But at the same time, I can't practice Krishna consciousness openly there. And certainly I don't want him to force my son to eat meat. It's a dilemma for people like that. So America, we should take advantage. It's a very open society. Anybody from anywhere around the world can come here and openly explore other cultures. So we take advantage of that. We're not afraid to approach them. They're not afraid to approach us. And, give them that Arabic book, give them the Japanese book, give them that. And quite often, as our Satyanarayans want to say, they will also take an English book. They'll take a Bhagavad Gita as it is in English, and they'll also take a small book in their language. And the combination hopefully will power them back to home, back to Godhead. Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.
Yeah,
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
He had a question.
Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. We're late. Sorry, I actually forgot, but we're late. You can ask me outside. Hare Krishna.